Robots Radio. Games, lore, stories, community. Just press play. This show is brought to you by our patrons at patreon.com/ElderScrollsLorecast.
Robots Radio presents The Elder Scrolls Lorecast.
Welcome to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, a place where the Elder Scrolls community can come together to discuss the boundaries of our knowledge about the universe of the Elder Scrolls. Adventurers, welcome back to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. This is your host, Tom, or Robots, and I am here in the Fields of Regret, welcoming my co-host, Lotus of Doom, to the show. Lotus, welcome to the Fields of Regret.
I already am regretting this decision to come here. This is a huge mistake. What have we done?
It was also, I think it was also a mistake for Clavicus Vile to name his little realm of oblivion the Fields of Regret, because it's not a real good selling point.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you name it that? I mean, he's a deal maker, but you would think a deal maker would know better than to name
but I mean, like that means the same type of thing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna, live on Grift Lane, but I'm very trustworthy. It's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you giving away everything you got right out the gate? That's not gonna get you anywhere here.
Right, man. Yeah. So how are you doing? Welcome back to the show.
I'm doing well. This will be an interesting one because this will have some awkward throwbacks for what I have be able to suggest for Clavicus Vile, because there's a couple bits of Clavicus Vile that are back from the more obscure Elder Scrolls games, which I like to always bring attention to, and Clavicus really lives up to some of the obscure bits.
Yes. So, we're on to our third of the Daedric Prince recaps, where we're diving a little bit deeper into the Daedric Princes. And we teased it last week. And as Rob the Princess points out, yes, we're up to the C word, the C, the C princes, the C starting
the
letter.
C is Clavicus.
The C stands for Clavicus, Clavicus Vile. And Clavicus Vile is known as the Prince of Trickery and Bargains, the Master of Insidious Wishes, the Child God of the Morning Star, and Nikot to some Second Era cultists who lack the ability to read Daedric's script. So he also has a buddy. He's the one Daedric prince who has a good boy. Barvis.
He does. And he gets bonus points for having a good boy.
Yes, he does. Because you and I are both fans of dogs. We're more dog people than we are cat people. Yep. And because dogs are better than cats. Let's just be honest here. I'm sorry for all of our cat listeners out there.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Dogs are better. I'm sorry. I'm also allergic to cats, so I kind of don't have a choice.
Well, that's the situation. Is my wife is allergic to cats as well. I'm pretty much just like all pets, but I was going to say my chubby little puppy in the background is quite pleased to hear all this dog talk. So
Dark Mage in chat is like, whoa, hold up, Robots. I won't hold it against you. If you're a cat person, that's fine. I can't do cats. So we'll just leave it there. But that doesn't mean that I think Clavicus Vile is necessarily one of the good Daedra.
No, I'm gonna overtly say he's not.
And why is that? Why don't you think he's one of the good ones?
Well, once we get into it a little more, I have some traumatic memories of dealing with him. Although I find his stories to be very cool. Cool as in interesting, not necessarily good.
Cool. Cool. You're a cool guy, Clavicus Vile.
Yeah, you're great. C is also for cool. But once we get into his Daedric artifacts and how he presents them to people with deals, I think that'll really kind of solidify exactly how screwed up he can be in a lot of situations. We don't have the last two princes. I've had a book very specifically that I've wanted to reference. This one, we won't have a there wasn't a book specifically that I wanted to reference, but once we get to it, one of his Daedric artifacts, the story to it, that I believe was from Skyrim originally. Yeah, it is really warped. It's just like one of those deals where it's like, you did that just to be awful.
Yeah. And I mean, that can be true for many of the Daedric princes, but here,
for sure.
Let's serve this up a little bit. He's the kind of Daedric prince who just seems to be bored with things.
Yes.
And he's willing to make deals with mortals to entertain himself. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be the way things tend to go. He likes to be social. He likes to get out in the world. He likes to find people to kind of entertain himself. I mean, that's typically his kind of MO is, hey, you know what? I'm going to find some schmuck and I'm going to say, hey, let's work out a deal. Oh, there's a thing I want. There's a thing that you want. Let's work out a little deal here. Let's see if you're willing to do this thing for me.
Right. And since Daedric princes don't have typical morality as we would refer to it, a lot of the things where I reference is like, wow, that seems just cruel for the sake of cruel, comes across as just like, oh, I'm just entertaining myself. So you'll get the moral ambiguity of the Daedra really show through when, to your point, if you were quote unquote referring to him as bored and just like looking for something to be amused by, giving people these, I don't know, monkey's paw scenarios are really, really like, oh, I just want to see how they react. And unfortunately, when you to get the best reactions, you usually do something pretty, twisted in
diabolical.
Order to make them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And speaking of diabolical, he typically is shown with 2 horns. He's usually shown in a male configuration, male shape. That's why we keep saying he, but we could say they.
Yeah, same with all of them.
Daedric prince, right?
It changes at their whim. So
at their whim, kind of. But typically will represent themselves as a male figure, almost always with Barbas, his or their dog companion, although sometimes without. And it depends on the series. And earlier versions of Clavicus Vile in the series didn't always have a dog companion specifically. Sometimes Barbas was actually depicted as other types of animals and wasn't always named Barbas even.
Right. And the name thing I would think might be a little more of finding their footing in the series. But to that point, Barbas can shapeshift pretty frequently, like pretty much. I don't know if there are specific limitations. I don't believe that it's ever been mentioned specifically.
Well, so the whole concept about Barbas is actually really interesting here. So why don't we sidetrack on that real quick? Because
just actually cover Barbas.
Right.
Okay.
So let's talk about
good point.
Barbas. So like starting in Daggerfall and in Redguard, Barbas is a dog, is a hound. In Morrowind, Barbas is a creeper.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Oblivion that Barbas is actually given the name Barbas. He's basically just the companion of Clavicus Vile until Oblivion. It's well known that Sheogorath dislikes Barbas and often teases that Sheogorath has plans to kill Barbas using hemlock, which is kind of funny because Daedric God killing Daedric God's companion with something as simple as hemlock, is that even possible? And let's go into the details on this, because Barbas himself or itself or themself or whatever Barbas is.
Yeah, Barbas is pretty amorphous. More so than the Daedric everything else.
Right. So there's a lot of debate about this. Like, is Barbas a shape-shifting Daedra that is a companion to a Daedric prince? Or, and I think that this is my headcanon actually falls more in line with the idea that Barbas is a piece of Clavicus Vile.
And I would tend to agree that seems to lend itself to make the most sense.
And there have been times where, like the storyline, I believe it's the one in Skyrim, where Barbas leaves Clavicus Vile. And during that time period, Clavicus Vile's powers are reduced. and Clavicus Vile can only manifest themselves within a certain distance from Clavicus Vile's shrines.
Yep.
And until Barbas is reunited with Clavicus Vile, the power is reduced.
Right.
And so it's almost like let's use Lord of the Rings as an example. You know, like Sauron puts some of his power into the One Ring, and until Sauron gets the One Ring back, Sauron's power is reduced because the power has effectively been divided into two places.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. So,
and it's also not the only time that something like this happens with Clavicus Vile. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of got, pretense that that's something that theoretically could happen when we, again, another Daedric artifact we'll be getting to, but with Umbra, it's like parts of his power are turned into something else for varying degrees of reasoning, which then saps him to an extent. And then they kind of go off on their own and do their own thing, which doesn't usually please him too much because, again, cutting off a portion of yourself that then goes off to do its own thing. Well, you effectively just weakened yourself for something that's now not actually helping you. And, in the case of Barbas, very specifically, Barbas oftentimes kind of has his own agenda to try to, usually it's well-intentioned to help Clavicus Vile, but they don't always agree on the best way to do something that they're trying to do.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like Clavicus Vile, it's themselves or itself. I mean, sometimes I'll say itself when I'm referring to a Daedric prince, because it's almost like the Daedric princes are not even really personalities. They're almost like forces of nature. And so if I say it's I'm not using it in place of them as a non-gender. It's the nebulous demigod being of a Daedric prince. Right. It's like the force of nature itself. But so if I'm wishy-washy on that, it's because I'm kind of jumping back and forth in my head between, is this a person or is this a force? Right. It's a little hard to nail down some of the weird liquid aspects of these. Like, right. This, Daedric princes oftentimes are not really tangible things all the time. So it's it starts getting real hard to really put your finger on exactly what you're talking about. So let's go to the side of, if Clavicus Vile is a person, then it's almost like they have multiple split personalities, and these split personalities manifest in things like representations of like Barbas or Umbra. And I find that interesting because Clavicus Vile is inherently social. Clavicus Vile, the boredom that Clavicus Vile finds is this boredom of being whole. And it's as if Clavicus needs to split themselves apart in order to entertain and find something to do. In a sense, there needs to be more going on than just one personality can handle. And when that happens, Clavicus Vile is no longer happy because it also doesn't want to be split, or they don't want to be split, but they want to be whole again. But when they're whole again, they're also bored. So it's this kind of going back and forth of like, it doesn't want to be split, so it wants to be whole, but it doesn't want to be whole because then it's bored, so it wants to split back up. It's this kind of like cycle that Clavicus Vile keeps going in and out of. Exactly. It's this really weird mechanic that Clavicus Vile just keeps finding themselves in. And it's this, it's one of those things that you don't notice until you start looking at the events through the different eras and through the different stories. But this seems to happen over and over and over again. Right. And kind of as a side effect of that, it's like to alleviate the boredom, the thing that helps entertain them is something that weakens their overall power. So it's like this weird, like you were saying, it's like a weird cycle of like, okay, well, I need to be entertained. Right. But then as a side effect of entertaining myself, it usually comes in added at a cost to myself. But then, if I can manage to realign myself and
deal with that again, because a lot of times Barbas will annoy Clavicus Vile, specifically in Skyrim. Like, Clavicus Vile is not entertained,
and then Clavicus will send Barbas away.
Yes,
and he'll be like, "Go, leave me! You annoy me. Get away!" And then Barbas will find his way back, and then he'll be happy to be reunited with him again, and then he'll get upset and then send him away again. It's like it's a cycle. Yeah,
it is, and that's just it. And it's like when you have these ability to not die, but like, you know, from the standpoint of Daedra, they can respawn and stuff like that, and it's even more nebulous when it comes to like a Daedric prince, but. In Skyrim specifically, for the quest, dealing with his shrine, you get you have a choice of two different items depending upon how you play out the quest. If you give Barbas back, quote unquote, to Clavicus Vile, you'll get the Mask of Clavicus Vile, which is a Daedric artifact and all that. Whereas Clavicus Vile is like, kill him. Like, kill Barbas. And it's like, what? Kill him? Right. And if you kill him, you get a different Daedric artifact, which really weird side note, asterisk, does not actually count as a Daedric artifact in game toward your Oblivion Walker achievement, which is very bizarre. The Rufalax, for whatever reason, does not count. But he'll give you an entirely different item, which for lack of a better word, in game is bad. It's not very good. It's a pretty crappy weapon. So moral of the story, don't kill Barbas.
Don't kill Barbas.
But like, there you go. It's like he's basically willing to hinder himself just for the sake of amusement oftentimes. Right.
I feel like, and this quick little side note, I feel like there are other characters that do this. Like Sheogorath is a character simply because Sheogorath represents chaos. Oftentimes,
that's very big into the duality thing,
right? Oftentimes,
order and chaos, and mania, and what is depression type of thing. That his is a little darker,
it's different and darker, but it's the same kind of thing. Willing to put themselves in a position of being vulnerable. Simply for the sake of entertainment.
Right. And the duality is still there. It's just dealing with different things.
Right. So we've got this weird nature that Clavicus Vile is in. We've got the devil's horns. So this, and I think that's a representation to this Christian kind of Satan deal maker kind of Lucifer kind of thing going on here. That, was probably something that had to do with the early concept of the character. And then we also have, and you've mentioned Umbra. Do you want to talk about Umbra? Because this is a reference to the books, and we've talked about the books a little bit on the podcast before. And we don't want to talk too in depth to ruin the whole story, because these books are worth reading. These are the only two Elder Scrolls books that were published outside of and we're not talking in-game books. We're talking like real world books based on.
Yes, they're the two Elder Scrolls novels that actually exist. And, they did not see a lot of success, although, I personally thought they were kind of interesting. And it's one of the things that I really like about the series of Elder Scrolls as a whole is they don't forget about them. Like, they still exist. Like,
they're canon.
They're not only are they canon, they relate to more than meets the eye. They're actually like, you get a lot of references that you won't necessarily get if you don't either read the books or know about the books. But yeah, Umbra, just as kind of like a quick overview, is a sword crafted out of Clavicus Vile, essentially. But as a side effect, Umbra, it's weird staying with this whole nebulous concept of things. Umbra is sentient.
It's like it takes on a personality through the merging of the power of the sword and an individual.
Right. Yeah. So it's sort of it's weird. It's even more in between things because it's like it clearly has some type of sentience because it's aiming to do something more. But then at the same time, it does need a wielder. It's not just like a bouncing talking sword like from a Disney movie or something like that.
Right.
Right. It's not quite that fantastical, but you know, it imbues the wielder with powers while it kind of like the way I found it described, which you can correct me if you think it was anything different from your, it's almost like when a wielder has it, the sword uses the host as like a stabilizing mechanism. Like, okay, now I've found a grounding, and it uses the host almost. So it's kind of like a parasitic type of weapon. But as a side effect, it's a pretty powerful weapon in the series, and another quote unquote Daedric artifact in this situation, because his are a little weirder than some of the others. But yeah, Umbra really comes to prominence, you know, throughout the books, and is a pretty, like you said, that's not to totally ruin the books.
Right. Well, I guess the big fun thing to point out here is in the fourth era, you have the floating city of Tamriel.
Yes.
So Tamriel is the city that was basically pulled from Clavicus Vile's realm.
Right. It seems like it was ripped from the realm and is hovering over Nirn as basically a giant doom fortress, for lack of a better descriptor. And the inhabitants of Umbriel are varying degrees of Daedra. There's a lot of reference to them being kind of like a bug-like type of thing. And it essentially goes across, and it starts down in Black Marsh, and it goes on its trek throughout the book without getting too in detail.
It starts moving north up towards Morrowind.
Toward Morrowind.
We'll leave it at that. You guys can read the book and find out more.
And the fortress itself is just basically this death blender that eats people.
And
it drops down.
It's pretty freaking amazing.
And it just drops down these roots, and all these bugs come down, and they just murder people, and they stick them to these vines, and it just sucks them up into the fortress. And, you know, it's just like, wow, this thing is horrific.
And what's so cool about the story is that some of the characters in the story actually they're able to get into this floating city, and you learn about the nature of the Daedra living in this floating city. And then of course you learn more about why the floating city's there and what's actually going on with Umbra and Umbriel and the other characters.
How it all works and stuff like that.
It all ties back to Clavicus Vile and Clavicus Vile's power being imbued in the sword, and this being ripped out of Clavicus Vile's realm. Which is freaking cool when you think about like how all of this stuff ties together.
Right. That is a huge tangent from like hey, I made myself a sword. Also as a side effect, all of this happens.
Yeah. All of this stuff happens. So this was, I believe this is right after the events of the Oblivion Crisis.
It is right after the events of the Oblivion Crisis, because again, without doing overt spoilers, even though this is very old, just overtly spoiling this, I feel is actually like a disservice to the books, and I definitely recommend them. But there is a portion of the books, specifically the second book, where part of the story actually takes place in the Morrowind Vardenfell area after the eruption of Red Mountain. So it's literally like the lava hasn't even cooled. Like there's still ash falling from the eruption during this start of the second book. So it's very, very like Oblivion happened with Elder Scrolls 4 and then the events of Red Mountain, and then boom, you've got the start of the books, so to speak. So that's time-wise where it falls.
Right. So really cool stuff. Definitely worth checking out. If you want to just, I listen to it on audio books platforms and
same.
Yeah.
I listen to them at work. They're I guess random play. You can just download them on Audible or something like that.
Actually, audiobooks.com. We have a link.
There you go.
We have a link in our show notes.
Perfect.
To get,
I was like, I don't know if you have
get a free book on audio. Actually, you get three free books on audiobooks.com. You can go pick them up. They're on audiobooks.com. You can just click them in. And I didn't even think about this ahead of time. Go click the link and get them for free. They're in the show notes. So
perfect.
Go do it.
But no, the audio version is actually very well done. I actually really like the person who reads, who does the narration. They're very good.
Mm-hmm. But, he does a really fun. One of the main characters is an Argonian.
Yeah, Maya Glim.
Yeah,
it does a great Maya Glim. Great. There's some really good characters. It is a little more character specific, which is weird for the series because it's not as character focused usually. But without going too much on a book tangent, it is, narrated very well. It's not exceedingly long, but they're definitely 2 full novels. Yeah. And it just gives a different direction to seeing some of the more Daedra side of stuff, which is interesting because other than Battlespire, it's probably the best look at Daedric, society type of thing. Mm-hmm. The only thing is, don't get too hung up on some of the pronunciations, as he clearly isn't an Elder Scrolls player, and he pronounces some. I mean, we mess up plenty of words, especially.
We totally mess up. I was going to say, we can't hold anyone else accountable
because we're a disaster when it comes to pronunciation. But there are some. There are a couple that it's just kind of funny because they're much more common, and it's like, what the? But once he says it in context, you totally know what what he means. It just held me up once or twice at first. I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, wait, I know what they're saying. They just meant this. So that's just kind of like a disclaimer that keep listening. It clicks, even if some of the dialogue's a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so go check that out. Now's a good time for us to take a quick break and thank our patrons. But yeah, the Clavicus Vile's got a lot of cool stuff going on. We'll be right back, and we're going to cover some more stuff. So don't go anywhere.
The skies are marked with numberless sparks, each a fire, and every one a sign.
So we were setting up for the show before doing some of the pre-show stuff, and I was like, we got to check to make sure we have some new patrons. I think we had some sign up, and I was like, oh my God, look how many we have this last week. You guys are nuts. Thank you to all of our new patrons. I'm going to just go through the list here. We have, so hold on to your butts. Carter H. I think you pronounced Dark Mage, who's in chat with us right now, hanging out. Dark Mage, welcome.
Oh, hey.
HW, we'll just call you HW. Josh S. I'm F. Avery G. and Alex W. all signed up in the last week. Thank you to all of you for signing up on the Patreon. Welcome. And holy moly, you guys are amazing. So, wow. So many new patrons this last week. You guys are the best. And that means we're up to a total of 85 patrons. Wow. And also, we got to say big thanks to our tier 5 Daedric Princes, Mr. Gummy Boy and Noodle Al Dente. And now that we've been talking more about Daedric Princes again, I have to wonder what a Daedric Prince named Mr. Gummy Boy and Noodle Al Dente, what their powers are.
Huh.
I'm going to have to ask them specifically.
Maybe Noodle just because that's a more tangible thing I can think of. Maybe there's just no way to overcook Noodle Al Dente.
Maybe
that's his power.
It's just always just a little bit tough.
Yeah. It's just you can't really. He's just perpetually perfect pasta.
Perpetually perfect pasta. And for Mr. Gummy Boy, I'm going to have to ask Mr. Gummy Boy. So
I'm really curious what theirs would be, because I don't know.
I don't know either. I think both of you guys, since both of you guys are active on the Discord, and I've known you guys for a while now, need to write in and let us know what your Daedric Prince powers are, so we can know. But thank you to everybody who's signed up on the Patreon. It really means the world to me. Thank you so much. This is my career, and you guys supporting the show just helps me so much and makes this like a real thing for me. So thank you so very much. And if we've done anything to help you get through your work day, your workout, your drive to work, or trying to eat noodles. I was going to say something else, but I got so distracted by noodle al
just
dente.
double down on the noodles.
I'm just doubling down on the noodles today. Then go to patreon.com/Elder Scrolls Lorecast and sign up. You can get ad-free episodes. You can join us on future episodes of the show. You can get t-shirts, you can get stickers, all sorts of fun stuff you can get. And it's the 17th while we record this, which means we're just 2 weeks away from our Patreon episode, which happens to be the exact last day of the month on the 31st, 2 weeks from today, because we record on Thursdays. And you can always join us in the chat, because we will call out you if you have fun things to say, and we happen to catch them during good parts during the show. So you can always join us on the Robots Radio Twitch channel or the YouTube channel or the Facebook channel. Just search Robots Radio in any of those channels. You can always join us on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. Or if you want to join us on the show, the Patreon's the best way to do that. Also, a wonderful way to help us out is tell your friends or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We don't have any new ones this week to call out, but a rating and review of 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it out on a future episode of the show, and also leaving a rating on Spotify, if that's your platform of choice, means the world as well. Getting good ratings on those platforms helps push us up in search results, which helps get us more listeners and helps, spread the word. Make sure people know that this is a good show. It's worth listening to. So thanks to everybody, and big thanks to our new patrons and all of the people who help support us. We really appreciate it. All right, let's move on with the rest of the show.
Yes, you're entirely brilliant. Conquering madness and all that. Blah, 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 blah.
So, podcats? They're talking about podcats in chat.
Podcats.
Pod dogs are still better than podcats.
Wow, doubling down on the pod dogs.
Whoa. All right. So, Lotus, you mentioned that there was a specific story that you wanted to talk about when it came to Clavicus Vile.
Okay, so we've been dabbling with the artifacts as well as, yes, I mentioned there was a story involving the Rueful Axe, which was the alternate weapon you can get in Skyrim if you pour Barbas.
That's a good sound.
Yeah, that was the Barbas elimination sound effect. But yeah, so I'm just going to read the snippet because it's not a lore book, so to speak, which is it's a story. And I actually think the UESP does a great job of just kind of summarizing it real quick. So what I'm going to do is just read their little snippet. You can check out the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages for this snippet that I'm about to read off, but it's from in-game, and it's these kind of like the story to the Rueful Axe. So we don't need to... The Rueful Axe is a Daedric artifact created by the Daedric prince, Clavicus Vile, as part of a terrible bargain. It takes the form of a large iron battle axe engraved with images of werewolves, although it is actually made of ebony in-game. It is enchanted to steal the strength of anything it strikes, as well as it's known for being a bane of beasts. Circa Second Era 582, a number of visual replicas designed of the Rueful Axe image were seen throughout Tamriel. There's little snippets. The specific part that I wanted to talk about, though, is his story bit where Clavicus Vile gave the axe to Sebastian Lort, a powerful Breton conjurer whose daughter was a worshiper of Hircine, another Daedric prince we haven't gotten to on the recap just yet.
I think werewolves. Dive.
Right. And was cursed with lycanthropy, i.e. she became a werewolf because that's one of Hircine's many gifts. Takira's daughter,
quote,
gifts,
in quotes.
Takira's daughter, Sebastian prayed to Vile for his aid. In response, the prince gave him the axe, allowing him the means of curing his daughter by slaying her. Why? I had mentioned the degree of cruelty for the sake of so as a tangent before we just finish with it, his daughter is basically become a werewolf and is praying to someone that he is concerned about. He chooses Clavicus Vile for whatever reason. I get maybe he's a Clavicus Vile worshiper, but help me. My daughter needs to be removed. And the reward that he is given for asking for Clavicus Vile's help is an axe And he's like, yeah, this will help. You should kill her.
Yeah, right. This'll cure it.
Like, what a warped way of quote unquote curing it.
It's kind of like, those posts that get around on social media every so often where like the people ask the Photoshop guy for help and then he does the like literal thing to help them with the Photoshop. Yes. It's kind of like that.
It really is. So in this case, it's just like, okay, yeah, no, I can remove it because no more werewolf if your daughter is dead. And it's
right. It's like, I have a toe infection. Can you help cure my toe infection? Here's a saw.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, no more toe, no more infection. Bingo. Yep. And it's just like,
this will solve it.
This was the little anecdote, I guess I'd say, more than even a story, where Clavicus is just essentially like, yep, I have a solution, and it's here you go. So your daughter is either a werewolf and you've lost her to this to here scene, or you murder her. And it's just like, that's what I refer to as like the monkey's paw scenario, where it's like, man, when you deal with Clavicus Vile, it seems like the end goal is to be as precise as humanly possible, or mercifully possible, to really make sure that there's no way he can warp what you said into oh, yeah, I can totally do what they say. And look how great I am because I did it, except it's the worst thing. And you're much, much worse off as a result of it.
It's the entertaining himself thing, right? It's the just trying to be clever because it's entertaining for him.
Exactly. So it's like, that's kind of like, again, instead of a book this time, the rueful axe story always I thought was exceedingly dark for the sake of like twirling mustache villain dark. Like, oh, I'm going to do this just to screw with this poor sod. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's a rough scenario to be in. But obviously after the event, the rueful axe is then lost because that's how Daedric artifacts tend to go. And you can acquire it throughout the series later on, down the line as the hero vestige, dragonborn, what have you.
Right. So there's another item I think is super fun that potentially has to do with Clavicus Vile. This one's in fiction. The Feyfolken is an item that shows up in the books. In fact, there are 3 books called Feyfolken, volumes 1, 2, and 3. And these are books that show up in the games. This isn't a quest line that you can actually play out. These are just books that show up in the game. Stories about Clavicus Vile, and they have to do with an enchanted quill, like a writing device. And if you've never seen a quill, quills are old-timey writing devices. This is back before you had pens with like, ballpoint pens that could continually output, ink. So you had to dip the quill in the ink and write with it, right? And then eventually the ink would run out, so you dip the quill in the ink and write with it. So the quill is the item you would keep dipping in the ink. And this enchanted quill was basically, it would take over the mind of the person holding it, and it would manipulate that person. And in this particular story, and it says here in the notes, the trade-off of wielding such an item is that the quill manipulates the thoughts of its holder. In the case of Tharbad, and that's the character in the story, he was driven to suicide, even writing notes to whoever would discover his body. So it gets super dark. And so, yeah, this one's fun. Now, we haven't seen this item show up. Fun, in quotes.
This one's a laugh a minute.
We haven't seen this show up in the games, but I think this would be really fun to show up in a future game.
Oh, because, like in a game and give you the writing crazies or something?
Mm-hmm. Or as and one of the things that these games do so well is contextual story stuff.
Yeah.
So you find notes written by the quill and you piece it together, and then eventually you find the body, and the body is like a suicide victim. And then you piece together the notes, and then you realize that the person didn't really want these things to happen.
Right.
The quill forced them to write it.
The quill was forcing that to happen. So it's like At that point, it's just like,
And
oh
it's
man,
all tied back to Clavicus Vile. Yeah.
which also has to be, without getting overly dark, that has to be a very horrific experience to realize that it's like, okay, this is writing basically in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're aware of?
Well, it starts manipulating their thoughts. So it's not even just manipulating their writing. It's changing.
So
it's like controlling their thoughts at one point. So eventually it just starts taking over in control of the person.
Sure. And that's kind of where I was getting is like, do you think they have any awareness of the situation? Like, because how you can like be doing something and also be aware of like, this might not be the best.
Maybe. Yeah.
That would be a really screwed up version of how I would assume to deal with. It's like, does it just overwrite their thoughts type of deal? Or is it kind of like a horrific blend of the two? Yeesh.
Maybe. I think usually in these kinds of things, it's like you get pushed down and the other thing overrides you.
It's like,
so it's like you're sitting back and watching this thing control your body.
Yep.
And you're like, you can't get out. It's like you're in like a little jail cell inside your own mind going like, no, stop doing that. No. And then you can't get out. Usually that's the way it's kind of written in these kinds of stories.
Right.
But yeah, that's fun stuff. So, one of the other things you and I talked about before we did the episode is the voice acting for Clavicus Vile. And the voice acting, we've all heard Clavicus Vile in the more recent games. He shows up in these quest lines and things, but you specifically pointed out with your abundant expertise of the older games in the series that Clavicus' voice in Redguard is the best in the series.
Yeah, hands down. The Elder Scrolls Adventures Redguard, it is a stunning piece of art.
Brilliant performance. And it's not just the performance, it is the effects on the voice.
Oh yeah, they're definitely not overdone at all.
The I don't know, nail biting performance, maybe we should call it.
Yeah, it'll keep you right on the edge of your seat or on the precipice of a windowsill.
Yeah. So here's a little clip from Clavicus Vile in one of his early performances where he looks like a funny little, almost like a little gnome elf man with horns.
Yeah, he's he definitely has like a Bosmer type of feel to it, which is a little peculiar. And Barbas throughout this game also shapeshifts constantly, including while talking. He'll just start becoming random things, including Silas, the main character. He just melts into having a Silas face on a dog body at one point.
Yeah, and he turns into like a bull and a horse and like all sorts of weird stuff. He's just constantly changing shapes in the background. Yeah, if you, just a warning here, if you don't like the sounds of things like fingernails on chalkboards, maybe turn down the volume a little bit. Yeah,
if you couldn't sense our previous section dripping with sarcasm, it is hard to explain. I won't let voice acting.
I won't let this go too long, but here you go.
Here's a little bit of it.
Here's a little bit.
Listen, bold hero Cyrus. Nagasta was much more fun. He was very smart and very scared of me.
Okay, that's about as much as I could take. Oh my god. Ugh. I have headphones on and now my ears are just like bleeding into my headphones. I think I'm gonna have to wash them out.
Clavicus has become much more intimidating as the series has gone on and much more appealing to the ears.
Oh my god. Yeah, so it is not the same voice actor anymore. That was a very early incarnation of him. The current voice actor for the most recent games is Stephen Russell. And I like to point these out in the most recent run of these episodes where we're talking about the Daedric Princess. Stephen Russell has shown up in many other games. Surprise, surprise, like many of these other voice actors, including, you want to guess some of these? Have you looked yet?
No, I
shared this with you.
I didn't look at his thing. So I'm curious to hear these because actually the couple times you've done this, I've really enjoyed being surprised by who it is that like what they play.
Okay, so the oldest game reference here, the oldest game credit that I found is from 1998, where Steven played the voice of Garrett in the first Thief game. Do you remember the Thief games?
I never played the Thief games, but I do remember them, and they're really cool big box, like weird.
Yeah.
It wasn't it wasn't like a triangle, but it was like a little pyramid type of thing with a flap that opened up. Yeah.
Yeah. Another classic game, early PC kind of game, 1999's System Shock 2.
Okay.
Classic game. Was
pre-Bioshock.
A few different characters in that. We can move forward in time. Was in games like, remember Freedom Force? Did you ever play Freedom Force?
Oh my God, I did play Freedom Force.
Yeah, a variety of different characters in that, including Man of War, Time Master, Iron Ox.
All classic characters.
Classic characters. Okay, maybe a little bit more well known. Neverwinter Nights.
Oh, okay.
He was in Neverwinter Nights as additional voices. Showed up in multiple Thief games. Okay, here's one you'll definitely recognize. Fallout 3. We're getting into more well-known stuff. Andy, Mr. Buckingham, the Great One, and additional voices.
Oh.
All right. Here's one you're definitely going to recognize. Now we're moving up in time. This is 2008. 2011. A little game called The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim.
Yep.
Right. He was Clavicus Vile, obviously.
He was Clavicus Vile, yeah.
Also Barbas.
Oh, he did both?
Did both. Also...
I didn't know he did both.
Yeah. Also, Mercer Frey.
Wait,
what?
Really? Wow. Okay, so he's got some range because I never would have assumed that.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? I love it when you go, wait a minute, that's the same voice actor? Wow.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes you go, okay, yeah, I can see that. Like there's a certain like timbre of the voice or something. And you're like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, Mercer Frey is gravelly as hell.
Yeah, same person. All right.
I never would. I definitely whiffed on that.
Yeah, so let's move forward in time. Another game in between, but let's jump up 4 more years. Fallout 4. Get this. Nick Valentine.
Really?
Codsworth.
Okay, what?
And also other Mr. Handies.
Wow. Okay, so that's really all of the, and he has quite the British accent.
Right, and then also additional voices in both Skyrim and Fallout 4.
That is a huge. Okay, I am stunned by this dude's range of voices. Now
I know.
Into like other Bethesda titles. Wow.
Right. And then also Far Harbor, the Far Harbor DLC for Fallout 4. He was Dima. So if you played that,
he's Dima too.
He was Dima.
That's my favorite DLC in
there you go.
The series.
Yeah. And then,
oh my God,
another Bethesda title, Dishonored 2. Another little favorite. Some people's one of their favorite Bethesda games.
Yeah,
right. Amazing game. Corvo Atano.
I was gonna say, if you tell me he's Corvo, I'm gonna like.
He's freaking Corvo.
Okay, so a mind-boggling range from this. I'm going to continue to not look these up in advance because, like, I am literally like,
Yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah, and then another Bethesda title, Prey. Dr. Sylvain Bellamy. Another Bethesda title, Fallout 76, Mr. Handy, which he had previously done, right?
Makes sense. But
Giles
he
Sweetwater.
definitely has
Zeke, and then additional voices. And then a few other games after that. So
he's definitely got a big tie into Bethesda.
Yeah.
That it picked up a while back. But wow, I'm very impressed by this guy's actual vocal range because that is all over the map.
Yeah, and other games too. These are just the ones that I think our audience would recognize.
Sure. It's
yeah. But holy moly, like a lot of those characters, I wouldn't have said like this is the same voice actor.
Absolutely not. Not at all.
Isn't that great? That's so cool. That's
very cool.
So cool. So yeah, that's the voice actor here. Let's see. Anything else we want to know? There's a few other Clavicus Vile items that are on the list. I went over all of those in the original Clavicus Vile episode. So
right. Yeah. And
go back and listen to
the
that
mask is the most common. Also one of my favorite artifacts in the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Love that thing.
Yeah. Let's see. Then, of course, there's the realm, which I talked about at the beginning, the Fields of Regret, which, of course, is created and ruled by Clavicus Vile. This is interesting. It's dotted with majestic cities of glass and ornate buildings, and it's populated by Scafin or Scafin. I don't know the best way to pronounce it.
I always thought it was like Scoffin or Skadafin, depending upon how they were saying it, something like that.
Yeah, there's no D in this spelling, so.
Yeah, and they tend to they're an enemy you encounter at several points dealing with his cult or his some type of influence of something without spoiling it. In ESO, you fight Scoffin quite frequently at a couple points when dealing with him.
Yeah. So, but it's one of those realms that actually looks pretty normal, which is kind of unique for, a lot of these places, they're full of fire and magma, or they look like they're frozen, or they look very dark and sinister, or like, purple and blue hued and these kinds of things. The Fields of Regret, they look like they've got trees and blue skies, and there's got cities and buildings and mountains and lakes and forests and these kinds of things. And there just happen to be a lot of Daedra that kind of live there in their own little towns and villages and buildings and, homes. And it seems rather normal for it being a Daedric realm. Right. Which is kind of weird in its own sort of way.
It's weird how normal it is compared to some of the others.
Yeah, it is. That is kind of notably odd. So there is that. There's also these weird little spirals that show up in the realm itself. And if you've seen any of the pictures in ESO or some of the other imagery that's been around, there are these odd, they're almost like staircases.
Yes, that's the best way to put it, is like a spiral staircase
that just kind of go up into the sky, and then they just kind of break apart, and then the pieces that come apart just kind of float up above themselves for no reason. They just kind of are there.
Yeah, not really explained.
Unexplained. Yeah, very, very odd. The other thing I wanted to note as we wrap this up is that, and I don't want to spoil anything, Clavicus Vile in the storylines of Elder Scrolls Online, especially in the expansions, the stuff that has to do with the 3 Daedric princes that are messing around with stuff going on in Somerset and some of the other events in Elder Scrolls Online. He's one of them. And there's some cooperation and then some not cooperation happening. He's one of them. And if you haven't played through that content, even if you're not a big MMO person, if you just want to play through the events and just do the questing and that kind of stuff, it's probably worth it. Just for getting through the quests and that kind of thing, because the game's
totally doable solo.
If
that's your thing.
It's like that stuff is actually really good. It's totally fun. So big stuff in there. Don't want to ruin the storyline. That he's a big part of it. So if you like Clavicus Vile and you like some of the stuff going on with that and some of the other Daedric princes, that's a big part of the events of the Second Era. So we could go into all of that, but we're going to stay away from it because spoilers. So yeah. So cool stuff. Any final thoughts on Clavicus?
No, Clavicus is a little bit of a, I don't know. It's kind of a strange Daedric prince in regards to some of the others where, I don't know. A lot of times it almost seems like, because some of them are just, and we mentioned him being like, kind of screwed up in many situations with maliciousness and stuff like that. But Clavicus Vile has, how can I put this? An air of fallibility, because you can actually outdo Clavicus Vile in his own deals. And he's one of the Daedric princes without outright trying to quote unquote, like fist fight him is like the main villain.
Oh yeah. You're not going to overpower him. He's still a Daedric prince. Yeah.
But he will definitely, you can see some of the, I didn't account for this backfired and stuff like that, a little more than some of the other Daedric princes, in my opinion. We had mentioned kind of like the splitting of his power is one thing that he does for his own immunity, but referring briefly back to Redguard, he offers you a puzzle or a riddle, where you can escape the Fields of Regret if you can just figure it out. And not the most complicated thing ever. But if you figure it out, you're allowed to just leave. And he's just like, oh, all right. Well, so it's not one of those. He strikes me as a potential to, not necessarily everything he's doing is intentionally malicious. It's just you need to be very careful around Clavicus Vile type of deal. Same thing with Here Scenes, similar feel type of thing, where it's like, there is a way, as long as you're careful, to not have it just turn into a death trap. Like Molech Ball, it's a little hard to deal with. Like that's just something that's always struck me about Clavicus Vile. I don't know if you got the same impression, but it's just something
they'll stick
that
to
I've
their
long
words.
thought.
They'll they'll say like, this is the deal, and if you figure it out, then you're free to go, or I'll do this. It seems like, and they will.
Right. And it seems like the ability to try to get one up on him is almost part of his entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, all right. Touche. You got out pretty well in this deal. I'm a little annoyed because I wanted to do whatever I was going to do. But it's like, all right, I'm entertained type of thing. Right, so it's like.
Right. Or her scene in your example, like if you do escape, if you're part of the hunt and you do escape, then that was part of the enjoyment of being able to,
it's like, all right.
The potential of hunting you was that you legitimately did have the potential to escape. Because if you didn't, then it wasn't really a hunt.
It wasn't a hunt. It was just murder, which is like, okay, well, that's not what Here Scene was going for. So it's like similar vibe to that was something that I always found unique because it's one of the rare princes that I feel kind of falls into that category.
Right. It's not a real bargain unless you legitimately have a way to best him.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I think you're right about that. And sometimes you do get the better end of the deal, and he just goes and he has to follow through with it. And sometimes he's pissed off, but
yeah, exactly.
But he's just like, mortals, and then he leaves, and you're like,
right.
Sorry, Clavicus.
Exactly.
Sucks to be you. Sorry, Barbas.
He's going to be very mad for a while.
He's going to be mad at you, Barbas. He's going to send you away again.
Poor Barbas.
Poor Barbas. Well, I also apologize to all of our cat lovers out there. I don't really hate cats. I just can't breathe.
You hate that you can't breathe.
I can't breathe around them.
Yeah,
but
that's definitely sour your experience.
But thanks for tuning in again, Lotus. You got any other fun news? I know you just hit the big 300.
We did.
You had a big announcement the other day.
I guess the other thing, because now it's officially announced and everything like that, just to anybody who might not have seen episode 300 of Tales of Tamriel, we made it official. We are actually now the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages Tales of Tamriel. We have joined with the resource that we use here. It's almost like there's this weird cross-branding thing that we're kind of working on. Strange how that works, isn't it? But yeah, so we're very happy to partner with the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages. It gives us a lot of resources for our stuff and avenues. And since we do more of a news and discussion thing over at Tales of Tamriel, and Elder Scrolls Lorecast here is, the focus is on the lore we do a little touch on stuff in game, news stuff, but that's really not the focus here. I kind of am aiming to integrate the idea of, since I don't really intend to do a lore lesson on the Tales of Tamriel, I kind of am hoping that we can link to what we cover in this for people who are interested in that. So it's I kind of like the idea of just mixing it, because we've long been, since I'm a host on both shows, just kind of sister shows with each other. You've been over joining us for a couple episodes over there and everything like that. So it seemed like a good mix. And it's pretty exciting to work with the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages on an official status.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's very exciting.
Officially unofficial.
yeah. And there's more stuff to come. We're all gonna be talking more about things
Lots
that we can
exciting
do.
Stuff.
More crossover stuff and things. So it is exciting. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Everybody, we're all good friends, and we're all in this together because we're all talking about things that we love. And so go if you haven't listened to Tales of Tamriel, go listen. Lots of fun
Episode
conversations.
300 was incredibly fun. And, actually, just because several of you from chat here were there during that live stream. Shout out to everybody for that. There was a deluge of people who hung out, and a lot of people who can't usually catch the live show type of thing just because episode 300 was a pretty big milestone. We had some people getting up at all sorts of weird time zone hours just to come say hi. So a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. That's awesome news. Yeah. You guys have definitely put the work in, and, sticking it out for 300 episodes is no small feat. There's a lot of podcasts that never get to 10. So
right.
Yeah.
It helps when it's fun.
Oh, absolutely. And it also helps when you have people, tuning in, and the community that has built and stuck around, that definitely makes it worth it. So absolutely. So cheers to everybody all the way around. Let's see. I've got my stuff going on. We're still raising money for people in Ukraine who need medical support which is going amazingly. Yeah.
Not that. I want that whole thing to end. No, I mean the fundraising.
Right. The fundraising is going amazingly.
The Ukraine thing cannot end quick enough for those people.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have now hit $900 thanks to this community. Our goal is now 1,000. I had no idea we would be even near this. It is amazing. You guys are amazing. So if you're looking for the link, if you want to contribute even just a few dollars, then the link is in the show notes. Or you can always join us on the Robots Radio Discord and just look in the announcements section for a link, or just shoot me a note if you're just curious. Say, hey, what's the link? It's Tiltify. I'll share the link with you. And I'll be streaming more during the days. I streamed a little bit yesterday, so Wednesday. Played some Elden Ring with the community. They watched me get my butt kicked. It was super fun. It was great, and lots of people came out, so it was super fun. I love hanging out with this community. You guys are just the best. So of course, we stream this show on the Robots Radio channels on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook, and I restream my game streams on those same channels. So you're always welcome to just follow me on any of those channels and turn on notifications if you want to just happen to catch any of my game streams either during the day or in the evenings. And I'm going to be trying to do that as much as I can. I've mentioned this before, but I can't always get to it, but it's one of those things that when I can, I'm always happy I did. So, again, I'm going to try to do this as much as I can. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. Also, Lord of the Rings Lorecast is out there. We're already 3 episodes in, over 1,000 downloads. We're already getting reviews and stuff coming in, and everybody's saying such nice things. So thank you to the community for checking that show out as well. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So that's what we got going on. And thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another Daedric Prince. And until then, just, stay safe out there. Be good to each other, and try not to make any weird deals with any Daedric people with big horns on their heads and dogs. Also,
maybe just dogs.
Just make deals with dogs.
Yeah, you know what? Just give a dog a hug.
Dogs are always good to make deals with, because you just give them treats, and then they give you cuddles, and then that's great. You can't go wrong with dogs. Yeah, dogs are the best. Dogs are the best. Dogs are better than cats. Thanks for listening to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. If you have something you'd like to contribute to the show, please reach out to us at elderscrollslorecast@gmail.com or on Twitter @ESO Lorecast. I really appreciate you listening, and I'd love to hear from you soon.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.
Only give cats hugs if you're not allergic to them, or if they don't.
Also, I guess, if you're allergic to dogs, don't give dogs hugs.
Yeah. Or if the cats are giving you that look like I'm going to scratch your eyes out, don't give the cat a hug, because cats are weird like that. Sometimes they just do that thing where they're just like, don't. They give you that look like, you know that look. This one. That the cats do that.
Oh yeah, my cat used to do that all the time. It's just like, it's like, all right, fine, we don't want to hug right now.
Right, they have to come to you. Yeah, see,
it does do
Dark
that.
Mage. Dark Mage knows cats. They do that look. Yeah, that's the don't you come at me. I'm going to come to you, but you don't come to me.
It's actually weird.
Dogs don't do that. Dogs are just always happy for attention.
Well, that's the thing. So like in the background, Boots has just been rolling over on her little futon. But one of the things that we actually find really funny, she always likes hugs and everything like that. But sometimes my wife will just sit there and just like keep her in like a little hug. And when Boots wants to go do something else, she doesn't try to squirm free. She does this dramatic thing, and it's so weird because she's like, and Boots will just sigh. And that's when we know it's like, oh, you want to go get a drink of water or something like that, because she'll just dramatically go. And my wife will be like, oh, I guess we're all done here. And she'll let her go and she'll hop off and she'll walk over to wherever. But she never tries to get away. She just increasingly will sigh more dramatic until you get the point.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, dogs are less like, you're right. Dogs are less likely to do it. Much like elves, they submit to their supremacy. Yeah, right. Right. Faceless. Yeah.
Faceless.
All right. Yeah. I still think that cats are more likely to eat you if you die.
Oh, my cat absolutely would have eaten me. I didn't even like it. Well, actually, I guess Boots said, nobody likes me to sleep. I was going to say, my cat, when I had a cat, he used to jump up on my chest when it was time to wake up, and he'd just swat me until it was like, hey, wake up.
Cats are mean. Like dogs, right? Dogs will go to like the door because they're like, I need to go out, right? Yeah. But they don't come over to your face and punch you. No,
but the only thing is, though, every morning, which is just after Boots goes out, her most exciting thing is she's too stumpy to get up on the bed, so she has a little staircase.
Right, yeah, because a little.
So we've got the little staircase. She goes up, and whether it's me or my wife who's laying there, she jumps up on the bed and like torpedoes whoever's like not the one who got up, and she'll wind up and just be like, yeah, and like dive bomb whoever it is, just so you can acknowledge her, and she gets all happy and then falls asleep. Like,
yeah, it's I'm back. Hey, yeah, because they're being friendly
again, and then just it's like 5 minutes of happiness, excitement, and then sleep.
Yep, yeah. That's totally a dog thing. You take peanut butter baths, Rob?
Seems like that would be very uncomfortable, but also probably really good for your skin.
Yeah, but if you didn't like get the peanut butter off, you'd get like really.
And if you had a peanut butter allergy,
that'd be no good. That'd be no good.
Be not great.
But like, I want you guys to debate this. Like, which do you think is more likely to eat you if you died? Like, if you died and nobody found you for like a day, would your cat eat you first, or would your dog eat you first?
I think cats. I think Boots would just keep ramming me like with her head, being like, "Come on, do stuff,"
and then just eventually start licking you, and then realizing like, there's meat here.
Yeah.
All right.
Gross.
Right? Because the cat's tongues have those little, like, they're rough. And then eventually they'd start, like, tearing your flesh off and then being like, there's blood and meat in this. Whereas dogs would just, like, sit next to your body and just be like, oh, you're not getting up.
Why won't you take me outside?
Why won't you get up? Oh, why won't you get up? And they just won't know what to do for like a day.
Have you ever found, I think it's in Bankerai, the dog who's just sadly staring at his owner's grave?
Yes. No. Well,
there's a grave by a tree. It's that actually
familiar.
It's like a point of interest. Like it will give you experience if you can find it. But it's the saddest. The puppy's just staring at like the grave, and it's just like,
Man, this got even darker.
Yeah, this got real dark.
Real dark. Oh,
this got depressing. Yeah,
I'm gonna go hug my dogs.
Yeah, somebody go hug a dog or a cat. Everybody
go hug an animal. If you don't have an animal, go look up a picture
animal and be nice to give whatever animal is nearest you a happy little treat.
Cute dog.
Scratch.
Cute dogs. Here, I just Google searched cute dogs. Here's a Google search of cute dogs. Go print one of these out and hug it if you don't have a dog. There you go. Some of these are really derpy looking dogs. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for being here. Lotus, this was fun. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
See you next time, buddy.
All right. Have
a good night, everybody.
See you guys.
Once upon a time, 27 years after the bombs fell, there were two people, a vault dweller and a California girl. They met, and sparks flew. That's when things got interesting. Once Upon a Wasteland is their story. Follow Elizabeth Kirby and Odessa Valdez as they pursue their happily ever after in the post-apocalyptic Appalachian wasteland of Fallout 76. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and many other podcasting platforms. Once Upon a Wasteland, a Fallout 76 love story, available now.